Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Translated by Constance Garrett.
Chapter 7. The same day, about 7 o'clock in the evening, Raskolnikov was on his way to his mother's and sister's lodgings. The lodging in Bakaliev's house, which Razumihin had found for them. The stairs went up from the street. Raskolnikov walked with lagging steps as though still hesitating whether to go or not. But nothing would have turned him back. His decision was taken. Besides, it doesn't matter. They still know nothing, he thought, and they are used to thinking of me as eccentric. He was appallingly dressed, his clothes torn and dirty, soaked with the night's rain. His face was almost distorted from fatigue, exposure, the inward conflict that had lasted for 24 hours. He had spent all the previous night alone, God knows where. But anyway, he had reached a decision. He knocked at the door, which was opened by his mother. Donya was not at home. Even the servant happened to be out. At first, Pulcheria Alexandrovna was speechless with joy and surprise. Then she took him by the hand and drew him into the room. "Here you are," she began, faltering with joy. "Don't be angry with me, Rodya, for welcoming you so foolishly with tears. I'm laughing, not crying." "Did you think I was crying?" "No, I'm delighted. But I've got into such a stupid habit of shedding tears. I've been like that ever since your father's death. I cry for anything. Sit down, dear boy. Sit down. You must be tired. I see you are. Ah, how muddy you are." "I was in the rain yesterday, mother," Raskolnikov began. "No, no," Pulcheria Alexandrovna hurriedly interrupted. "You thought I was going to cross-question you in the womanish way I used to. Don't be anxious. I understand it all. Now I've learned the ways here, and truly I see for myself that they are better. I've made up my mind once for all. How could I understand your plans and expect you to give me an account of them? God knows what concerns and plans you may have, or what ideas you are hatching. So it's not for me to keep nudging your elbow, asking you what you are thinking about. But my goodness, why am I running to and fro as though I were crazy? I'm reading your article in the magazine for the third time, Rodya. Dmitri Prokofitch brought it to me. Directly I saw it, I cried out to myself, 'There, foolish one,' I thought. That's what he is busy about. That's the solution of the misery. Learned people are always like that. He may have some new ideas in his head just now. He is thinking them over, and I worry him and upset him. I read it, my dear, and of course there was a great deal I did not understand, but that's only natural. How should I? Show me, mother." Raskolnikov took the magazine and glanced at his article. Incongruous as it was with his mood and his circumstances, he felt that strange and bittersweet sensation that every author experiences the first time he sees himself in print. Besides, he was only 23. It lasted only a moment. After reading a few lines, he frowned and his heart throbbed with anguish. He recalled all the inward conflict of the preceding months. He flung the article on the table with disgust and anger. "But however foolish I may be, Rodya, I can see for myself that you will very soon be one of the leading, if not the leading men, in the world of Russian thought. And they dared to think you were mad. You don't know, but they really thought that. Ah, the despicable creatures! How could they understand genius? And Donya was all but believing it. What do you say to that? Your father sent twice to magazines. The first time poems. I've got the manuscript and will show you. And the second time a whole novel. I begged him to let me copy it out. But how we prayed that they should be taken. They weren't. I was breaking my heart, Rodya, 6 or 7 days ago, over your food and your clothes and the way you were living. But now I see again how foolish I was. For you can attain any position you like by your intellect and talent. No doubt you don't care about that for the present, and you are occupied with much more important matters. Donya's not home, mother. No, Rodya. I often don't see her. She leaves me alone. Dmitri Prokofitch comes to see me. It's so good of him. And he always talks about you. He loves you and respects you, my dear. I don't say that Donya is very wanting in consideration. I'm not complaining. She has her ways and I have mine. She seems to have got some secrets of late, and I never have any secrets from you two. Of course, I'm sure that Donya has far too much sense, and besides, she loves you and me. But I don't know what it will all lead to. You've made me so happy by coming now, Rodya, but she has missed you by going out. When she comes in, I'll tell her. Your brother came in while you were out. Where have you been all this time? You mustn't spoil me, Rodya, you know. Come when you can, but if you can't, it doesn't matter. I can wait. I shall know anyway that you are fond of me. That will be enough for me. I shall read what you write. I shall hear about you from everyone, and sometimes you'll come yourself to see me. What could be better? Here you've come now to comfort your mother. I see that. Here Pulcheria Alexandrovna began to cry. Here I am again. Don't mind my foolishness. My goodness, why am I sitting here? She cried, jumping up. There is coffee and I don't offer you any. Ah, that's the selfishness of old age. I'll get it at once. Mother, don't trouble. I'm going at once. I haven't come for that. Please listen to me. Pulcheria Alexandrovna went up to him timidly. Mother, whatever happens, whatever you hear about me, whatever you are told about me, will you always love me as you do now? He asked suddenly from the fullness of his heart, as though not thinking of his words and not weighing them. Rodya, what's the matter? How can you ask me such a question? Why, who will tell me anything about you? Besides, I shouldn't believe anyone. I should refuse to listen. I've come to assure you that I've always loved you, and I'm glad that we are alone. Even glad Donya is out. He went on with the simple impulse. I have come to tell you, though you will be unhappy, you must believe that your son loves you now more than himself, and that all you thought about me, that I was cruel and didn't care about you, was all a mistake. I shall never cease to love you. Well, that's enough. I thought I must do this and begin with this. Pulcheria Alexandrovna embraced him in silence, pressing him to her bosom and weeping gently. I don't know what is wrong with you, Rodya, she said at last. I've been thinking all this time that we were simply boring you, and now I see that there is a great sorrow in store for you, and that's why you are miserable. I've foreseen it a long time. Rodya, forgive me for speaking about it. I keep thinking about it and lie awake at nights. Your sister lay talking in her sleep all last night, talking of nothing but you. I caught something, but I couldn't make it out. I felt all the morning as though I were going to be hanged, waiting for something, expecting something, and now it has come. Rodya, where are you going? You are going away somewhere. Yes, that's what I thought. I can come with you, you know, if you need me. And Donya too. She loves you. She loves you dearly. And Sofia Semyonovna may come with us if you like. You see, I'm glad to look upon her as a daughter. Even Dmitri Prokofitch will help us go together. But where? Where are you going? Goodbye, mother. What, today? She cried as though losing him forever. I can't stay. I must go now. And can't I come with you? No. But kneel down and pray to God for me. Your prayer perhaps will reach him. Let me bless you and sign you with the cross. That's right, O God. Where are we going? Yes, he was glad. He was very glad that there was no one there, that he was alone with his mother. For the first time after all those awful months after, his heart was softened. He fell down before her. He kissed her feet and both wept, embracing. And she was not surprised and did not question him this time. For some days she had realized that something awful was happening to her son, and that now some terrible minute had come for him. Rodia, my darling, my firstborn, she said, sobbing, now you are just as when you were little. You would run like this to me and hug me and kiss me. When your father was living and we were poor, you comforted us simply by being with us. And when I buried your father, how often we wept together at his grave and embraced as now. And if I've been crying lately, it's that my mother's heart had a foreboding of trouble. The first time I saw you that evening, you remember, as soon as we arrived here, I guessed simply from your eyes. My heart sank at once, and today, when I opened the door and looked at you, I thought the fatal hour had come. Rodia, Rodia, you're not going away today. No, you'll come again. Yes, I'll come. Rodia, don't be angry. I don't dare to question you. I know I mustn't. Only say 2 words to me. Is it far where you're going? Very far. What is awaiting you there? Some post or career for you? What God sends. Only pray for me. Raskolnikov went to the door, but she clutched him and gazed despairingly into his eyes. Her face worked with terror. Enough, mother, said Raskolnikov, deeply regretting that he had come. Not forever. It's not yet forever. You'll come tomorrow. I will. Goodbye, mother. He tore himself away at last. It was a warm, fresh, bright evening. It had cleared up in the morning. Raskolnikov went into his lodgings. He made haste. He wanted to finish all before sunset. He did not want to meet anyone till then. Going up the stairs, he noticed that Nastasia rushed from the samovar to watch him intently. Can anyone have come to see me? He wondered. He had a disgusted vision of Porfiry. But opening his door, he saw Donya. She was sitting alone, plunged in deep thought, and looked as though she had been waiting for a long time. He stopped short in the doorway. She rose from the sofa in dismay and stood up facing him. Her eyes fixed upon him betrayed horror and infinite grief, and from those eyes alone he saw at once that she knew. Am I to come in or go away? He asked uncertainly. I've been all day with Sofya Semyonovna. We were both waiting for you. We thought that you would be sure to come there. Raskolnikov went into the room and sank exhausted on the chair. I feel weak, Donya. I'm very tired, and I should have liked at this moment to be able to control myself. He glanced at her mistrustfully. Where were you all night? I don't remember clearly. You see, sister, I wanted to make up my mind once for all, and several times I walked by the Neva. I remembered that I wanted to end it all there, but I couldn't make up my mind. He whispered, looking at her mistrustfully again. Thank God. That was just what we were afraid of. Sofya Semyonovna and I. Then you still have faith in life. Thank God. Thank God. Raskolnikov smiled bitterly. I haven't faith, but I have just been weeping in my mother's arms. I haven't faith, but I have just asked her to pray for me. I don't know how it is, Donya. I don't understand it. Have you been at mother's? Have you told her? Cried Donya with horror stricken. Surely you haven't done that. No, I didn't tell her. In words, but she understood a great deal. She heard you talking in your sleep. I am sure she half understands it already. Perhaps I did wrong in going to see her. I don't know why I did. I am a contemptible person, Donya. A contemptible person, but ready to face suffering. You are, aren't you? Yes, I'm going at once. Yes, to escape the disgrace, I thought of drowning myself, Donya. But as I looked into the water, I thought that if I had considered myself strong till now, I'd better not be afraid of disgrace. He said, hurrying on. It's pride, Donya. Pride, Rodia? There was a gleam of fire in his lusterless eyes. He seemed to be glad to think that he was still proud. You don't think, sister, that I was simply afraid of the water? He asked, looking into her face with a sinister smile. Oh, Rodia, hush, cried Donya bitterly. Silence lasted for 2 minutes. He sat with his eyes fixed on the floor. Donya stood at the other end of the table and looked at him with anguish. Suddenly, he got up. It's late. It's time to go. I'm going at once to give myself up, but I don't know why I'm going to give up myself. Big tears fell down her cheeks. You are crying, sister, but can you hold out your hand to me? You doubted it. She threw her arms round him. Aren't you half expiating your crime by facing the suffering? She cried, holding him close and kissing him. Crime? What crime? He cried in sudden fury. That I killed a vile, noxious insect, an old pawnbroker woman, of no use to no one. Killing her was atonement for 40 sins. She was sucking the life out of poor people. Was that a crime? I'm not thinking of it, and I'm not thinking of expiating it. And why are you all rubbing it in on all sides? A crime! A crime! Only now I see clearly the imbecility of my cowardice. Now that I have decided to face this superfluous disgrace, it's simply because I am contemptible and have nothing in me that I have decided to, perhaps too for my advantage, as that Porphyry suggested. Brother, what are you saying? Why, you have shed blood, cried Donya in despair. Which all men shed, he put in almost frantically, which flows and has always flowed in streams, which is spilt like champagne, and for which men are crowned in the Capitol, and are often afterwards called benefactors of mankind. Look into it more carefully and understand it. I too wanted to do good to men and would have done hundreds, thousands of good deeds to make up for that one piece of stupidity. Not stupidity even, simply clumsiness. For the idea was by no means so stupid as it seems now that it has failed. Everything seems stupid when it fails. But that stupidity, I only wanted to put myself into an independent position, to take the first step, to obtain means, and then everything would have been smoothed over by benefits immeasurable in comparison. But I couldn't carry out even the first step because I am contemptible. That's what's the matter. And yet I won't look at it as you do. If I had succeeded, I should have been crowned with glory. But now I'm trapped. But that's not so, brother. What are you saying? Ah, it's not picturesque, not aesthetically attractive. I fail to understand why bombarding people by regular siege is more honorable. The fear of appearances is the first symptom of impotence. I've never recognized this more clearly than now, and I'm further than ever from seeing that What I did was a crime. I've never been stronger and more convinced than now. The color had rushed into his pale, exhausted face, but as he uttered his last explanation, he happened to meet Donya's eyes and he saw such anguish in them that he could not help being checked. He felt that he had, anyway, made these two poor women miserable, that he was, anyway, the cause. Donya, darling, if I am guilty, forgive me, though I cannot be forgiven if I am guilty. Goodbye. We won't dispute. It's time, high time to go. Don't follow me, I beseech you. I have somewhere else to go, but you go at once and sit with mother. I entreat you too. It's my last request of you. Don't leave her at all. I left her in a state of anxiety that she is not fit to bear. She will die or go out of her mind. Be with her. Razumihin will be with you. I've been talking to him. Don't cry about me. I'll try to be honest and manly all my life, even if I am a murderer. Perhaps I shall some day make a name. I won't disgrace you. You will see. I'll still show. Now goodbye for the present, he concluded hurriedly, noticing again a strange expression in Donya's eyes at his last words and promises. Why are you crying? Don't cry. Don't cry. We are not parting forever. Ah, yes. Wait a minute. I'd forgotten. He crossed himself several times. Sonia took up her shawl and put it over her head. It was the green drap de dame's shawl of which Marmeladov had spoken. The family shawl. Raskolnikov thought of that looking at it. But he did not ask. He began to feel himself that he was certainly forgetting things and was disgustingly agitated. He was frightened at this. He was suddenly struck too by the thought that Sonia meant to go with him. What are you doing? Where are you going? Stay here. Stay. I'll go alone. He cried in cowardly vexation and almost resentful. He moved towards the door. What's the use of going in procession? He muttered, going out. Sonia remained standing in the middle of the room. He had not even said goodbye to her. He had forgotten her. A poignant and rebellious doubt surged in his heart. Was it right? Was it right, all this? He thought again as he went down the stairs. Couldn't he stop and retract it all and not go? But still he went. He felt suddenly once for all that he mustn't ask himself questions. As he turned into the street, he remembered that he had not said goodbye to Sonia, that he had left her in the middle of the room in her green shawl, not daring to stir after he had shouted at her. And he stopped short for a moment. At the same instant, another thought dawned upon him, as though it had been lying in wait to strike him. Why, with what object did I go to her just now? I told her on business. On what business? I had no sort of business to tell her I was going. But where was the need? Do I love her? No, I drove her away just now like a dog. Did I want her crosses? Oh, how low I've sunk. No, I wanted her tears. I wanted to see her terror and to see how her heart ached. I had to have something to cling to, something to delay me, some friendly face to see, and I dared to believe in myself, to dream of what I would do. I am a beggarly, contemptible wretch, contemptible. He walked along the canal bank and he had not much further to go, but on reaching the bridge he stopped and turning out of his way along it, went to the hay market. He looked eagerly to right and left, gazed intently at every object and could not fix his attention on anything. Everything slipped away. In another week, another month, I shall be driven in a prison van over this bridge. How shall I look at the canal then? I should like to remember this. Slipped into his mind. Look at this sign. How shall I read those letters then? It's written here, Company. That's a thing to remember. That letter A, and to look at it again in a month. How shall I look at it then? What shall I be feeling and thinking then? How trivial it all must be. What I am fretting about now. Of course, it must all be interesting in its way. I'm becoming a baby. I'm showing off to myself. Why am I ashamed? Fool! How people shove. That fat man, a German he must be, who pushed against me. Does he know whom he pushed? There's a peasant woman with a baby, begging. It's curious that she thinks me happier than she is. I might give her something for the incongruity of it. Here's a 5 kopeck piece left in my pocket. Where did I get it? Here, take it, my good woman. God bless you, the beggar chanted in a lachrymose voice. He went into the Haymarket. It was distasteful, very distasteful to be in a crowd, but he walked just where he saw most people. He would have given anything in the world to be alone, but he knew himself that he would not have remained alone for a moment. There was a man drunk and disorderly in the crowd. He kept trying to dance and falling down. There was a ring around him. Raskolnikov squeezed his way through the crowd, stared for some minutes at the drunken man, and suddenly gave a short, jerky laugh. A minute later he had forgotten him and did not see him, though he still stared. He moved away at last, not remembering where he was. But when he got into the middle of the square, an emotion suddenly came over him, overwhelming him, his body and mind. He suddenly recalled Sonia's words. Go to the crossroads, bow down to the people, kiss the earth, for you have sinned against it too, and say aloud to the whole world, I am a murderer. He trembled, remembering that, and the hopeless misery and anxiety of all that time, especially of the last hours, had weighed so heavily upon him that he positively clutched at the chance of this new, unmixed, complete sensation. It came over him like a fit. It was like a single spark kindled in his soul and spreading fire through him. Everything in him softened at once, and the tears started into his eyes. He fell to the earth on the spot. He knelt down in the middle of the square, bowed down to the earth, and kissed that filthy earth with bliss and rapture. He got up and bowed down a second time. He is boozed, a young near him observed. There was a roar of laughter. He is going to Jerusalem, brothers, and saying goodbye to his children and his country. He is bowing down to all the world and kissing the great city of St. Petersburg and its pavement, added a workman who was a little drunk. Quite a young man, too, observed a third, and a gentleman, someone observed soberly. There's no knowing who's a gentleman and who isn't nowadays. These exclamations and remarks cheeked Raskolnikov, and the words, I am a murderer, which were perhaps on the point of dropping from his lips, died away. He bore these remarks quietly, however, and without looking round, he turned down a street leading to the police office. He had a glimpse of something on the way which did not surprise him. He had felt that it must be so. The second time he bowed down in the Haymarket, he saw standing 50 paces from him on the left, Sonia. She was hiding from him behind one of the wooden shanties in the marketplace. She had followed him then on his painful way. Raskolnikov at that moment felt and knew at once for all that Sonia was with him forever and would follow him to the ends of the earth, wherever fate might take him. It wrung his heart, but He was just reaching the fatal place. He went to the table, took up a thick, dusty book, opened it, and took from between the pages a little watercolor portrait of ivory. It was the portrait of his landlady's daughter who had died of fever, that strange girl who had wanted to be a nun. For a minute he gazed at the delicate, expressive face of his betrothed, kissed the portrait, and gave it to Donia. I used to talk a great deal about it to her, only to her, he said thoughtfully. To her heart I confided much of what has since been so hideously realized. Don't be uneasy, he returned to Donia. She was as much opposed to it as you, and I am glad that she is gone. The great point is that everything now is going to be different, is going to be broken in two, he cried suddenly, returning to his dejection. Everything, everything, and am I prepared for it? Do I want it myself? They say it is necessary for me to suffer. What's the object of these senseless sufferings? Shall I know any better what they are for? When I am crushed by hardships and idiocy, and weak as an old man after 20 years' penal servitude. And what shall I have to live for then? Why am I consenting to that life now? Oh, I knew I was contemptible when I stood looking at the Neva at daybreak today. At last they both went out. It was hard for Donya, but she loved him. She walked away, but after going 50 paces, she turned round to look at him again. He was still in sight. At the corner, he too turned, and for the last time their eyes met. But noticing that she was looking at him, he motioned her away with impatience and even vexation, and turned the corner abruptly. I am wicked, I see that, he thought to himself, feeling ashamed a moment later of his angry gesture to Donya. But why are they so fond of me if I don't deserve it? Oh, if only I were alone and no one loved me, and I too had never loved anyone. Nothing of all this would have happened. But I wonder, shall I in those 15 or 20 years grow so meek that I shall humble myself before people and whimper at every word that I am a criminal? Yes, that's it. That's it. That's what they are sending me there for. That's what they want. Look at them running to and fro about the streets. Every one of them a scoundrel, a criminal at heart, and, a worse still, an idiot. But try to get me off, and they'd be wild with righteous indignation. Oh, how I hate them all. He fell to musing by what process it could come to pass that he could be humbled before all of them indiscriminately, humbled by conviction. And yet, why not? It must be so. Would not 20 years of continual bondage crush him utterly? Water wears out a stone. And why? Why should he live after that? Why should he go now when he knew that it would be so? It was the 100th time, perhaps, that he had asked himself that question since the previous evening, but still he went. Chapter 8. When he went into Sonia's room, it was already getting dark. All day Sonia had been waiting for him in terrible anxiety. Donya had been waiting with her. She had come to her that morning remembering Svidrigalov's words that Sonia knew. We will not describe the conversation and tears of the two girls and how friendly they became. Donya gained one comfort at least from that interview, that her brother would not be alone. He had gone to her, Sonia, first with his confession. He had gone to her for human fellowship when he needed it. She would go with him wherever fate might send him. Donya did not ask, but she knew it. It was so. She looked at Sonia almost with reverence and at first almost embraced her by it. Sonia was almost on the point of tears. She felt herself, on the contrary, hardly worthy to look at Donya. Donya's gracious image, when she had bowed to her so attentively and respectfully at their first meeting in Raskolnikov's room, had remained in her mind as one of the fairest visions of her life. Donya at last became impatient and, leaving Sonia, went to her brother's room to await him there. She kept thinking that he would come there first. When she had gone, Sonia began to be tortured by the dread of his committing suicide, and Donya too feared it. But they had spent the day trying to persuade each other that that could not be, and both were less anxious while they were together. As soon as they parted, each thought of nothing else. Sonia remembered how Svidrigailov had said to her the day before Raskolnikov had two alternatives, Siberia or besides. She knew his vanity, his pride, and his lack of faith. Is it possible that he has nothing but cowardice and fear of death to make him live? She thought at last in despair. Meanwhile, the sun was setting. Sonia was standing in dejection, looking intently out of the window, but from it she could see nothing but the unwhitewashed blank wall of the next house. At last, when she began to feel sure of his death, he walked into the room. She gave a cry of joy, but looking carefully into his face, turned pale. Yes, said Raskolnikov, smiling. I have come for your cross, Sonia. It was you who told me to go to the crossroads. Why is it you are afraid now? It's come to that? Sonia gazed at him astonished. His tone seemed strange to her. A cold shiver ran over her, but in a moment she guessed that the tone and the words were a mask. He spoke to her, looking away, as though to avoid meeting her eyes. You see, Sonia, I've decided that it will be better so. There is one fact, but it's a long story and there's no need to discuss it. But do you know what angers me? It annoys me that all those stupid, brutish faces will be gaping at me directly, pestering me with their stupid questions, which I shall have to answer. They'll point their fingers at me. Fools! You know, I am not going to Porfiry. I'm sick of him. I'd rather go to my friend, the explosive lieutenant. How I shall surprise him! What a sense I shall make! But I must be cooler. I've become too irritable of late. You know, I was nearly shaking my fist at my sister just now because she turned to take a last look at me. It's a brutal state to be in. Ah, what am I coming to? Well, where are the crosses? He seemed hardly to know what he was doing. He could not stay still or concentrate his attention on anything. His ideas seemed to gallop after one another. He talked incoherently. His hands trembled slightly. Without a word, Sonia took out of the drawer two crosses, one of cypress wood and one of copper. She made a sign of the cross over herself and over him and put the wooden cross on his neck. It's the symbol of my taking up the cross, he laughed, as though I had not suffered much till now. The wooden cross, that is the peasant one. The copper one, that is Lizaveta's. You will wear yourself. Show me. So she had it on. At that moment, I remember two things like these too, a silver one and a little icon. I threw them back on the old woman's neck. Those would be appropriate now, really. Those are what I ought to put on now. But I am talking nonsense and forgetting what matters. I am somehow forgetful. You see, I have come to warn you, Sonia, so that you might know. That's all. That's all I came for. But I thought I had more to say. You wanted me to go yourself. Well, now I am going to prison and you'll have your wish. Well, what are you crying for? You too? Don't. Leave off. Oh, how I hate it all. But his feeling was stirred, his heart ached. As he looked at her, why is she grieving too? He thought to himself. What am I to her? What does she weep for? Why is she looking after me like my mother or Donya? She'll be my nurse. Cross yourself, say at least one prayer. Sonia begged in a timid, broken voice. Oh, certainly, as much as you like. And sincerely, Sonia, sincerely. But he wanted to say something quite difficult.